शुक्र खुदा में रज़वी हो।
Alhamdulillah, by the grace and the mercy of Allah, we are still reaping the blessings and the barakat of the month of Ramadan al-Mubarak. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by His grace and His mercy, allow us to continue reaping these blessings. And may we benefit thoroughly from the blessings of Ramadan al-Mubarak. We are about to end the last Ashara. The last 10 days of the month of Ramadan, or we have entered the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan. And you know, when the 20th Roza comes and the preparations for Afthab Cassim, then you and I both know that Ramadan is about to bid farewell. We both know that Ramadan is about to bid us farewell. And when the last Ashara of Ramadan comes, each of us has to reflect upon what we did in the first 20 days of Ramadan. Up to now, have we done what is commanded of us to do? The Quran is saying, and obey Allah and obey Allah's beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Each of us has to ask ourselves the question. I have to ask myself. You have to ask yourself. How obedient have I been? How obedient have I been in this month of Ramadan? Have I strived to the best of my ability? Have I made the effort that is required and demanded of me by the deen of Allah? Or have I taken these days very relaxed? How much of tilawat of the Holy Quran have I done in these days? How much durood sharif have I recited upon the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, through whose sadaqah we received this blessed month of Ramadan al-Mubarak? How much of sadaqat have I given? How much of zakat have I given? How much of tarawih have I performed? How much amal salihah have I done? Have I done all of this, or have I only got up to have a stomach full of sahri and a stomach full of iftar? This is the question that each one of us has to ask ourselves. And the answer will give you the result of your days. It will give me the result of my days. We do not need to go through any vigorous test to find out how we have fared up to now. You are the test for yourself. I am the test for myself. Each of us needs to be honest in our hearts and know up to now what have we done and how much have we benefited. How many times have you been obscene in the month of Ramadan? How many times did you do that which Allah has forbidden of you? How many times have you disrespected your parents even in the month of Ramadan? How many times did you visit the graves of your parents in the month of Ramadan? How many times did you hold the Quran in your hand rather than holding your phone and sitting on social media? This will answer the condition of our Ramadan. This will answer the condition of our Ramadan. We are failing to understand that this fast which Allah has commanded us to keep, why has He commanded it? So that we may attain piety. So that we may attain piety. And what is piety? What is piety? Khawf khuda. Piety, it means to become Allah fearing. Now ask yourselves, and I ask myself, and by Allah, if we ask ourselves sincerely, then we will weep tears. How Allah fearing have we become? How Allah fearing have each of us become in this 20 days? How many people have we backbitten about? How many people did we make ghibat about? How many people did we look at with a low nazar, with a lowly sight? It is something that we have to ask ourselves. Today, somebody has a slight cough, little bit of headache, I can't fast. Slight cough, little bit of headache, I can't fast. Traveling from Durban to Pietermaritzburg, can't fast. La ilaha illallah. It's very difficult for me. Look at the example that stood in front of you last week. Huzur Sayyidi Muhaddith Kabir. Almost 90 years old. Travels the east and the west of the globe but doesn't leave one roza. Fasting in all this time. Continuously, even today he's just traveled to another country yesterday. Continuously traveling for the deen of Allah, but does not leave the fast. You get people walking on the street, some of them, and you see them having a smoke or a cup of tea. People ask, what are you doing? You say, I'm a musafir. Yes, Islam has given leeway, but do not abuse the leeway. You need to, and I need to ask ourselves the question, have we forgotten how beneficial this fast is for us? Have we forgotten that Allah has commanded us to fast? Allah has commanded us to fast like He commanded those before us. And why? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So that perhaps we may become pious. By Allah's mercy we may become Allah-fearing. We may leave our bad habits. People say, I have a bad habit, I want to leave it. If you can't leave it in Ramadan, when will you leave it? If you can't leave it in Ramadan, in the layman's terms, I want to kick my bad habits. Shaitan is locked up. If you can't kick it now, when will you kick it? Shaitan is bound and shackled. This is Allah's mercy on the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is Allah's mercy on us, that Allah has given us a command to fast and to do virtuous deeds so that we may purify ourselves, and in that time Allah has protected us from our arch enemy. The arch enemy, the biggest enemy, Allah has shackled and bound him. But we have realized that it is an enemy greater than that. We have realized he is the arch enemy, yes, but there is an enemy within us which is greater than that, which runs in the vessels of our body. Our nafs is the worst enemy. Our inner self is the worst enemy. That even though shaitan is shackled and bound, our inner self will not allow us to do what is meant. It will still command us and still enhance us and still entice us to do gунah. Think about how beneficial this fast is to you. Think about how beneficial this fast is to you. This fast, my beloved brothers, will come to us, will come to you and I as a protector at the time of your death. I'm not saying this from my pockets. This fast will come to you and I as a protector at the time of your death. Those who take this fast lightly, Allah have mercy on those who do not fast. Sad state of affairs, there are those who do not fast in the month of Ramadan, yet they read the kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And for those who take this fast lightly, it's just not about staying hungry. If it's about not eating, then go and look at the famine-stricken countries where people do not get meals for days. Go and look at Syria. Go and look at Palestine in the times of war. They too are not eating. Look at other parts of Africa where people do not get meals. Look in our own country. It's not just about abstaining from food. It is abstaining for the pleasure of Allah. It is abstaining for the pleasure of Allah and those things which are permissible in any other day. To abstain from that even while you are fasting. This is the test. And this fast is beneficial. Indeed it is beneficial. Because my Rabb says, this hadith, Qudsi, this hadith, that Almighty Allah says, the beloved Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says that Allah says, that fasting is for me and I am its reward. Fasting is for me and I am its reward. In one narration, fasting is for me and I will give you its reward. Everything Allah gives the reward. But why fasting? Allah is telling that I will give the reward. For this is something which is between you and your Rabb. Namaz the whole world can see. Namaz, everybody in the Jummah can see you performing. Your sadaqat even, you may give it, but the one who receives knows. But your fast, you may wake up at Sahari, and you may make iftar, but whether you fast or not is between you and your Rabb. Whether you fasted or not, it is between you and your Rabb. This fast is going to be so beneficial. Let me share with you. Today I'm going to take a little bit of your time. 5-7 minutes more of your time. Let me share with myself. I want to remind myself. And I want to remind you how beneficial this fast is to us. Not only here, but in the hereafter. And not only in the hereafter, when you are about to leave this world. There's a narration from Hazrat Sayyiduna Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, that when the time of a person's maut comes, when a person's death comes near, when he's in the condition of sakrat al-maut, when his time is about to leave this world, he's about to go, now his ruh is about to be removed. Malak al-Maut, the angel of death, comes to him. And Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu reports that at the time when the angel of death comes to him, Malak al-Maut is commanded to smell his head. The man is about to die, his ruh is being taken out. What the angel does? The angel of death smells his head. And after smelling his head, what does he say? He says, I am receiving the fragrance of the Quran. Make tilawat. Make tilawat. This is the month of tilawat. Angel of death says, I am receiving the fragrance of the tilawat of the Quran. It is then said, smell his heart. It is then said, smell his heart. The angel smells his heart. And after smelling his heart, the angel says, I am receiving the fragrance of fasting. Allah. Smell the heart and receive the fragrance of fasting. What does it mean? It means that if you fasted sincerely, it's not about just abstaining from food. It means that you become pious, hence your heart is smelling of your fast. Because taqwa is here. Smell his heart. Says, I am attaining the fragrance of fasting from his heart. And then the angel is said, smell his feet. He smells his feet. And he says, the fragrance of standing in ibadah I can get. But all this will happen if you do this, nah? If I do this for the pleasure of Allah. The fragrance of standing in the ibadat of Allah, the angel is getting. It is then said, he protected himself. He protected his soul. He protected himself. In other words, he protected his fasting. He protected his salah. He protected his tilawah. And through that he has protected himself. So it will be said to the angel, he has protected himself. Allah is protecting him. Your fast and your tilawat and our fast and tilawat and our ibadah coming to our benefit at the time when we're leaving the dunya. Hazrat Sayyidina Mughira ibn Habib radiallahu anhu. Hazrat Mughira ibn Habib radiallahu anhu says that I saw someone in a dream. Someone was seen in a dream. Person that had passed away. And the scent of musk was emanating from his grave. He had passed away and the scent of musk was emanating from his grave. So he was asked in the dream, what is the reason for this? How is the scent of musk, and that too in the dream it is being felt? The person is seeing this in a dream. These are true dreams. The dreams of the pious. Says, and this quotation is also presented, this narration that I am narrating, is presented by amongst the great Imams of his Zamana, Sayyidina Imam Jalaluddin As-Suyuti radiallahu. That his grave, he sees this person in his grave and he sees that the grave is emanating a fragrance of musk. So he is asked in the dream that what is the reason for the scent in your grave? He said, this is the fragrance of my tilawat and my fasting. This is the fragrance of my tilawat and my fasting. In other words, that thing which he did in his dunya, his tilawat, his keeping roza, that has caused his grave to become mu'attar. Hazrat Sayyidina Imam Shaqiq Balakhi radiallahu an said something very beautifully. I mentioned this before. I'm reminding myself and you. He said, I searched for 5 things in 5 things. I searched for, मैंने 5 चीजों में 5 चीजों को तलाश किया. I searched for 5 things in 5 things. And he said, I found 5 things in 5 things. I found 5 things in 5 things. He said, I found abstaining from sin by virtue of namaz-e-chasht. I found abstaining from sin by virtue of namaz-e-chasht. He said, I found the light in the grave in performing tahajjud salah. I found the light in the grave by performing tahajjud salah. I found the answers to munkar and nakir by the recitation of Quran. I found the answers to munkar and nakir by the recitation of Quran. I found the crossing of Pul Sirat in sadaqah and fasting. I found the crossing of Pul Sirat in sadaqah and in fasting. And I found the shade of Arsh. I found the shade of Arsh by remaining in seclusion. By remaining in spiritual seclusion, I found the shade of Allah's Arsh. What is this teaching us? It is teaching us that these amal salihah, like our fasting and our salah and our tilawat, is going to benefit us at every stage. And Hazrat Sayyidatuna Aisha Siddiqa radiyallahu ta'ala anha, what does she say? She says that the beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, people think about fasting, people say, but for little things you don't want to fast. But there are those who are so ill but they fast. Do you know why they said? That we try our best. Yes, you don't make zulm on yourself. If you are at a stage where it is very difficult, Islam has given you, excused us. Okay? Islam is a deen of mercy. There's no deen, there's no way more beautiful than the way of Islam. That deen does not allow you to sacrifice one animal in front of another animal. What is the rahmah in that deen? Think about it. Think about it. So Sayyidatuna Aisha Siddiqa, for those who leave their fast for little things, for those of us who want to think, but if I fast, I'm going to die. Allahu Akbar. It's your assumption. Even if you are not allowed to fast and you leave your fast, a Hakim Hadik must stop you. That pious Muslim position must advise you that this will be detrimental to your health, then you don't fast. Not just make up your own mind, get up in the morning and decide, today I got a cough, I'm not fasting. And today my nose is running, I'm not fasting. I got a headache, not fasting. Allahu Akbar. Fasting is shifa. Even ask the medical experts. Ask the doctors that are in the masajid, they'll tell you. Leave the Muslims, ask the kuffar. Medicine of your illnesses is in your roza as well. Yes, except for those who are very ill and they are unable to. But Sayyidatuna Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha says that the beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, the one who dies in the condition of fasting. Allahu Akbar. Sayyidatuna Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha says that the beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that that person who dies in the condition of fasting, then until Qayamat, Allah will record fasting in His register of deeds. And think of it for a moment. And people want to take fasting lightly. Want to take fasting lightly. Think about it for a moment. What a great ni'mat this is. It helps you at the time of your death. It helps you on Pul Sirat. It helps you in your grave. It helps you even if you die fasting. Why don't people want to fast? Why do we take fast lightly? And do not take this as just staying away from food. Take this as what Allah has commanded. It is your means and my means to piety. Think about it. There are numerous other narrations. Time is not permitting. Time is not permitting. Otherwise I would have discussed a few more narrations concerning your ibadat and how it will benefit you. And if you permit me 2 minutes of your time, I will discuss one final matter. Shafi bhai? Our elders say yes, so yes. Hazrat Sayyidina Ka'ab radiallahu anhu. Hazrat Sayyidina Ka'ab radiallahu anhu reported, say Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Beautiful, beautiful narration. Every narration is beautiful, but this is an amazing narration. Hazrat Sayyidina Ka'ab radiallahu anhu reported that when a believer is placed in his grave, all of us gonna go. All of us are gonna go. Kya tayari ki? What have we done? If we can't prepare Ramadan, when are we going to prepare? When are we going to prepare? Hazrat Sayyidina Ka'ab radiallahu anh says, when a believer is placed in his grave, then the good deeds of a believer surround him. They form a shield around him. His good deeds surround him. His namaz, his fasting, his hajj, his jihad and his sadaqat. What do? They surround him. And when the angels of azab enter, how much guna have we done in our lives? Each one answer for yourself in your heart. When the angels of punishment enter into his grave, they come into his grave. And when the angels of adab, the angels of torment, approach from the direction of his feet, his namaz says, stay back. What does happen? His namaz says, step back. For he stood on his feet and made the ibadat of Allah. For he stood on his feet and he made the ibadat of Almighty Allah. Then the adab approaches him from the direction of his head. The angels of punishment come from, first they came from the feet, the namaz stopped there. Then they come from the direction of the head. It has been mentioned in the hadith. When the angels of azab come from the direction of the head to punish him for his wrongs, in the qabr, his fasting comes. His fasting comes. And his fasting comes and says, stay away. Stay away. Stay away. Why? For he remained thirsty for the pleasure of Allah. Look what is helping you in your qabr. Not your money. Not my house. Not my bank balance. These ibadat which you did for the pleasure of Allah. Fasting says, stay away. He remained thirsty for the pleasure of Allah. The azab then again decides to approach from the direction of the body, the rest of the body. Then his hajj and his jihad become an obstacle. That which he strived in the way of Allah and his hajj comes in the way. Thereafter, the narration says, thereafter, the azab approaches from the direction of the hands. Every direction the azab is going to come. Because what didn't we do in our lives? So now the azab will come from the direction of the hand. And as the azab comes towards the direction of the hand, what will happen? His sadaqah becomes a veil. The charity that he gave. When we say sadaqah, it doesn't only mean sadaqah as in sadaqah. It means your zakat, your fitrah, all your good charity that you gave for the pleasure of Allah. Not to show that I am doing you a favor. When you give in the way of Allah, you're not doing anybody a favor. You are doing yourself a favor. You are doing yourself a favor. Look where the favor comes in handy. Look where it comes. In our qabr. So when the punishment comes from the direction of the hands, at that time, what happens? The sadaqah comes and forms a veil and says, why should these hands be punished? Why should these hands be punished? When they distributed sustenance in the way of Allah. Subhanallah. They gave charity in the way of Allah. Why should they be punished? Allahu Akbar. When this happens, the narrator says that it is mentioned that that person is then given basharat. He's given glad tidings, and it is said to him, after all this happens, what is said to him? You have been successful in life, you have been successful in death. Who doesn't want to hear this? Which of us doesn't want to hear this in our graves? What happens? It says that the angels will then set a bedding for him. The angels will then lay a bedding for him. Not the bed of the dunya, they will set for him the bedding of Jannah. They will set for him the bedding of Jannah, and his grave will be expanded up to the distance of his vision. The grave will be extended up to the distance of his vision. and a lamp is illuminated in his grave. A lamp is made roshan in his grave, which will burn until the day of Qiyamah. Allahu Akbar. This is our fasting. This is our ibadat. This is our amal salihah. Think of this narration of Hazrat Sayyidina Ka'ab. Remind yourselves, and I remind myself, how blessed and how much of barakat is in what we do. Allah is commanding us to do this so that here we change and in our hereafter we may be protected. This will be a shield. These amal will be a shield for us. But I end with saying, all these amal will be fruitless. All these amal will be fruitless if it is without the Ishq Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The soul of the acceptance of your amal is Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is why if you say, I'm reading namaz, you read namaz like the beloved Nabi read namaz. If you are keeping fast, then you keep how the Nabi said to keep. If you are going to make Eid after this month, you make how the Nabi said, Chand dekh ke roza rakho, chand dekh. Sight the moon and make Ramadan, and sight the moon and make Eid. Follow the way of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Don't follow tabiat. Don't follow our own personal desire. It will destroy and ruin us. Follow the sunnah of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that namaz, the fasting, the recitation of the Quran will all become nur for us, all beneficial for us. Allah bless us with the tawfiq to understand this. Allah give us deen ki samajh. Allah keep us firm in deen.